WVU Parkersburg. We are really thrilled to have you with us today as we go over the state of WVU Parkersburg. With us today is our board chair, Steve Hardman, and our president, Dr. Chris Gomer. Mr. Hardman.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. A number of years ago, a small boy was very introverted. He tried to go unnoticed. He had a messy desk, terrible handwriting, and he loved to read, something that was cool with the girls at his school, but not for the boys. But in fourth grade, a teacher did notice him. Mrs. Caffery was the school librarian, and she took Bill under her wing. She helped Bill escape the shell that he was in. Later, he said that she genuinely listened to what he had to say. Mrs. Caffery died in 2006, but not before Bill was able to thank her for the impact her teaching had on his life. He later wrote, "It is remarkable how much power one good person can have in shaping the life of a child." As an adult, Bill went on to establish a foundation and has said that Mrs. Caffery was one of the inspirations for this foundation. Each year, this foundation, the Gates Foundation, gives hundreds of millions of dollars for teaching and educational projects. As you may have guessed, the bill is Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft. As a professor, as a teacher, you have the opportunity to change lives, not just the lives of your students, but the lives of everyone that your students impact. You have the ability to help nurses learn to take care of patients. You have the ability to teach people to weld so that a bridge or building will be safe. You have the ability to teach business so that people can succeed in life and make a living for their family. You, as teachers, as professors, as staff members at WVUP, change lives. You change the lives of your students and untold numbers of other people. On behalf of the Board of Governors, we are immensely proud of the work that you do and the good work that you do on behalf of all of your students. Best of luck this semester. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Steve. We are really blessed at WVU Parkersburg with an engaged and supportive Board of Governors, and they always show up for us. And I wanted to invite our chair to be with you to say good morning to you this morning. So good morning, WVU Parkersburg. I don't have a speech for you this morning, but I do have some notes because there are a lot of things that I want to make sure I don't forget. And I want to take you all the way back to the English Renaissance. And I don't get to be a literature professor very often anymore, so I'm excited to start out by a quote from Shakespeare in The Tempest: "O brave new world that has such people in it." If you start to look around the halls of WVU Parkersburg over the next week, you're going to start seeing posters going up about the WVU at Parkersburg Renaissance. When Miranda, who had been shipwrecked on an island and thought that she was going to die and thought that all of her compatriots had died, saw a young prince named Ferdinand who had escaped the shipwreck, she was smitten right away, and she said, "O brave new world that has such people in it." I want to shift that a little bit this morning and say that the brave new world that I'm proud of the people in is WVU Parkersburg. And we're going to begin this semester what we're going to call the WVU at Parkersburg Rebirth and Renewal. And you may ask the question, why now? When I came 3.5 years ago, I took Seasons of Love from the Broadway musical Rent and said we were going to have a season of love. And I think that we've had a long one and a good one, but I think that it's time for us to have a new focus now. And I had hoped that we would be beginning this focus right after our 60th birthday, in a time when we were post-pandemic. Unfortunately, it appears that we may not be post-pandemic for a long time. We're going to have to learn how to continue and move forward and embrace the future in the middle of it. So we're going to go ahead and begin with this process of rebirth and renewal. I wrote an article for the Kettering Foundation's Higher Education Exchange last semester and put it out there for those of you who wanted to see it and take a look. And what it's about is a revitalization of the liberal arts and a revitalization of general education in a world that is changing, for students that are changing, to make sure that it continues to have relevance. At WVU Parkersburg, and really at colleges all across the country, except for maybe private liberal arts colleges, the liberal arts faculty and the general education faculty are properly beginning to feel an erosion of the values that they thought of as foundational for higher education, and that they thought that they were signing on for when they signed on to be faculty members. And it's fair to say, over the past 10 or 20 years, there's been an erosion of the liberal arts at WVU Parkersburg. There has been an ascendance here and at colleges like us all across the country of workforce development and of technical education programs, of early college, and of things that are really commonly associated with community colleges now. And you don't need me to tell you that WVUP is one of few in the nation that has the honor of being both fully a community college and a bachelor's degree granting university at the same time. There are lots of community colleges that layer on one or two technical related bachelor's degrees, but there are very few that are fully both of those things at the same time. So what I want to say to you this morning is what we're trying to give a rebirth to is what defines us as higher education, which is what used to be called the soft skills that are taught through the great novels and the great pieces of art and the great pieces of music and foreign language and things of that nature. But what we want to be at WVUP is people who pay recognition to the fact that those skills weren't ever solved. In fact, if you go out and talk to employers, as I do just about every day, what they will tell you is that they want graduates who know their content. But even more than that, they want graduates who know these elusive soft skills. So we're going to try to infuse critical thinking and time management and self-discipline and teamwork and the things that you can learn from Macbeth and Van Gogh and Mozart and others into the entirety of our curriculum here. And we're going to be proudly a community college, and we're going to support and grow the things that make us a community college, such as workforce development. But we are going to renew the liberal arts, and we've already started that through the Arts Collaborative of the Mid-Ohio Valley and other things. But this is the year that I hope that we give it a real kickstart. And so we're going to fill all of those roles with equal pride. Thus, the new theme, WVU at Parkersburg, Rebirth and Renewal. So watch for the posters. I've had the distinct honor of being with you for 3.5 years now, and here are just a few fast facts. Since July 2018, we've increased our reserve funds, our cash on hand, by 54% to $18,992,000 today, even though we have spent money from reserves as needed. Our student retention rate has grown 9% over the past 3 years and stands at 19% above the national average for schools similar in profile to WVUP. Despite significant enrollment decline at colleges and universities nationwide and statewide, the last 3 years at WVUP compared to the 3 years prior have seen a 5.009% increase in overall enrollment. And one of those years, we had the highest single year enrollment gain of all 19 public colleges and universities in the state of West Virginia. Together, we launched WVUP's first deliberate and systemic effort to generate external financial support. We said we would raise $3 million in 3 years, and in 2 years, we more than doubled that goal at $6.3 million in fundraising and successful competition for almost 60 grants. These are incontrovertible facts, not hollow promises, and any college or university of our profile in the nation would rate itself an A and be joyous about these accomplishments in the best of times. Yet, we accomplished most of this during a worldwide pandemic. Folks, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us, and you should all be very proud of yourselves. Now, having appropriately patted us on the back, let's talk about what remains to be done and what we can do even better. I've tried to be very transparent about enrollment for the fall 2021 term, having publicly disclosed in several forums that for the first time in my tenure, we were significantly down in enrollment. We're not in the business of hiding the truth. It took longer for the pandemic to affect our enrollment than it took most colleges, but we knew we would not be immune to it. Fall 2021 is when I expected COVID to hit us, and it did. We finished the semester between 9 and 10% down when compared to fall 2020, but that's better than the 20 or 30% down that I have heard some speculate. That information was inaccurate, so let me correct the narrative today and let you know that you can always come to me, always, for accurate information on any topic, as many of you have done over the past semester. We started level and we lost students. Back in the summer of 2021, when I was singing the song that it looked like we might have level enrollment for fall, it did look like we would have level enrollment for fall. What happened is that a lot of students never showed up who had registered. Then we moved back for a while to virtual instruction, which wasn't the choice of many of the students and isn't something that a lot of colleges were doing at that time. And we had a significant erosion of students during the fall semester. So it was honest and it was true in the moment that we were celebrating the fact that we thought our enrollment might be level for fall. And it's equally true that we lost more students last semester than we've lost at any time. COVID just finally caught up with us, and the compounding challenge upon challenge upon challenge that they face in their life made it impossible for a lot of them to finish out the semester. The good news in that is that we built the budget with that in mind. We built the budget for this fiscal year thinking that this was going to be the year that we lost a lot of students. Therefore, we were prepared fiscally for it. And while I can't say that it affected us fiscally in a good way, I can say that we were prepared and that we're not suffering because of that, because of the choices that we made in budgeting. So that is the honest truth about fall 2021 enrollment. And now I'm going to do something that I don't usually do, and I'm going to give you some projections about spring enrollment, because a projection really doesn't have a lot of value until it becomes a reality. And we still have another whole week of registering students, and we know that our students often register at the last minute. So I tell you this and invite you to hear me say that these numbers will likely change significantly, but I want you to know where we are just in this moment. We are once again at striking distance of level enrollment during the pandemic, and that is an extremely lofty goal. Today, we're at 97.39% across all categories compared to this day in last year's enrollment cycle. And we're at 90% FTE compared to final spring 2020 enrollment. Of particular note is that continuing students are at 94.5%, an amazing accomplishment during these times, and we're down only 9 new students compared to this time last year. These numbers will continue to grow, and there is a real chance that we will top 100% at some point before classes start. But there is also the reality, not just a speculation, but a reality that we will lose students as the semester continues. This is not a bad report. In fact, it's a good one for this stage of the registration process. But we must all redouble our efforts to try to enroll every student possible and to retain every student possible once the semester begins. So the report about where we are this moment for spring enrollment is not bad. I know that because I've been watching enrollment trends every day at WVU Parkersburg for 3.5 years. The first thing I do every morning is open the enrollment report that Jeremy Starkey sends me and see where we are compared to the day before and the semester before and the year before. So I accept the fact that we will lose students as the semester goes on, but before we begin to lose them, we're going to gain more through registration this week, and only time will tell where we end the semester, but we're beginning it at a better place than most colleges across the country. In conversation with the leadership of our Board of Governors, faculty, staff, students, and administrators, we recognize the importance of face-to-face instruction for our students, and it is our plan to begin on time, face-to-face this semester. We'll do this with many precautions in place to promote health and safety. In conversation with our Chief Academic Officer, I continue to be incredibly impressed with the nimbleness and the resilience of faculty, staff, and students. Learning that 70% of our classes effectively give students the option to study in person or remotely. The classes which do not give the option are primarily in the technical programs such as welding, science labs, clinicals, and things which are either impossible or extremely difficult to do virtually. We have a live remote option, which is live instruction online with all students participating. A live broadcast option, which is students participating in person on campus or remotely online as they choose. And we have an asynchronous option, which is online learning not completed in real time. Students effectively have a huge amount of discretion whether to attend face-to-face or remotely, and we're giving our faculty wide latitude in their classrooms. The bottom line is we expect and hope for the highest possible degree of face-to-face faculty-student interaction coupled with the most synchronous online instruction possible. By the end of this semester, every faculty member at WVUP, except those already discussed in programs which don't lend themselves to virtual instruction, must be prepared as needed to provide virtual instruction in a synchronous format, because it's been proven over time that synchronous rather than asynchronous yields a better result for students. Still, there is no substitute for face-to-face learning, which is our intent for the spring semester. We will continue the $2,500 faculty stipends for all full-time faculty this semester for the extra work that you're doing to convert classes to multiple formats and other things. And I regret that I cannot extend these stipends to staff and administration, but there's no mechanism legally for me to be able to do that. Regarding COVID-19, our country is shifting from a mindset of prevention to a mindset of management. As you may suspect, this is not a shift that your president is making easily, because in March of 2020, we were the first college in West Virginia to go fully online, and I have taken what could only be described as a very conservative approach to protecting your health and safety during the pandemic. I have seen it as my responsibility to prevent as many people as possible from getting COVID-19. So I don't give over easily to the idea that health officials in our country and elected leaders in our country are giving, that this is now just something that we're going to have to live with, and it's something that we're going to have to manage. While I don't give over to that easily, I do give over to it. And I want you to know that today. And I accept the reality that while we protect ourselves as much as we can, we are going to have to take some measured chances in order to allow life to go on. Yesterday, West Virginia had 15,015 active cases and a daily percent positive rate of 19.3%. 70 plus colleges in 26 states are starting the semester online. A significant number of others are postponing the start of the semester by 2 weeks or more. All of this according to the Associated Press. I'm sure you can go out and find your own facts. You can find some newspaper article or internet article that will say almost anything you want it to say. So I don't hold these up to be definitive, but these are things that I found from reliable sources. Hundreds of colleges are requiring vaccination for all or some in their community, but hundreds is a relatively small number when you consider that there are over 5,000 accredited colleges and universities in the United States. The ones that are doing this, that are requiring vaccination, are not in West Virginia, and they are not, for the most part, colleges that fit into the profile of WVU Parkersburg. In West Virginia, only Bethany College, which is a small private religious college, and the University of Charleston, which is also a private college, are requiring vaccination, to the best of my knowledge. The pandemic is not finished with us. We're not Florida, but Florida is up 948% in 2 weeks. And nationally, 20% of healthcare workers are already sidelined. The only good news about Omicron is that while the variant is much more contagious, it also seems to result in significantly less severe illness, and it has already subsided in South Africa, where it began. None of us knows if there will be more variants that are forthcoming. None of us knows exactly when the end of this will be, or if in fact there won't be an end and it'll become endemic like the flu, and something that we have to deal with on a yearly basis. But as I said earlier, life must go on, and it's going to go on in a reborn way at WVU Parkersburg. In the spirit of transparency, at WVUP for the fall 2021 semester, we reported 24 cases of COVID-19 with 400 people exposed to these 24 cases. That's 24 too many and 400 too many. But there's something good to learn from it, if we will. It's proof that the containment measures that we have been undertaking have been working, because 24 people could have resulted in a huge amount of community spread, but they did not result in a huge amount of community spread. So that means we've been able to contain the pandemic. We've not been able to keep it out of WVUP, which we weren't ever so naive as to think we would do, but we have been able to contain it. I must say to you, however, that Omicron is apparently so incredibly easy to catch that it is entirely possible that our COVID numbers will go up in the spring semester. We will monitor them very closely, and we will adjust our practices as necessary. I will be the Rocky Mountains as far as wearing masks go, and you might as well hear that today. The Rocky Mountains are not movable, and neither am I on this point. So unless you have a medical exception of some kind that can be proven, we will be wearing masks for the foreseeable future at WVU Parkersburg, because medical authorities have convinced me that while they don't prevent it, they do make it better. We will continue to practice social distancing. Since students have face-to-face and virtual options, we hope that there will be fewer people on our campuses at any single moment, in an effort to protect the faculty who are teaching our students and everyone else. Also, the state of West Virginia has decided that all students who are taking classes face-to-face should be tested prior to the beginning of the semester. And we're trying to comply with that. But the state is to provide us the tests to use, and we have not yet received them. And we're just a few days away from the beginning of classes. So as early in the semester as reasonably possible, everyone is going to be expected to take one of the quick tests, everyone who is face-to-face at WVUP. It's my belief if we're requiring this of our students, then we have to be the example for them. And I'll be the first person to line up for my test, but everyone will get the quick test. I don't see that as an invasion of anybody's privacy. We've already covered my beliefs about not requiring people, but strongly encouraging them to be vaccinated. Having a test is not the same thing as putting something in your body. So we will uphold what the state of West Virginia is requiring us to do with this testing. And the administration, faculty, and staff will set the example. I'll have to give you more examples of how this is going to be rolled out when I have them, when I see how when the tests arrive. This is something that is changing literally on a daily basis. Last semester, we did random sample testing, which we paid for ourselves, and we will continue the random sample testing of everybody who's on campus face-to-face this semester. Here are a few exciting announcements, just a few of the many things that are happening this semester. I'm happy, in fact, I'm positively gleeful to announce the first distinguished faculty chair at WVU Parkersburg. This is something that Dr. Jackson and I have been working on for a whole year, and you'll see a full announcement, even a press conference about it, much more information in the coming weeks, but it has been approved in principle, and it'll be a distinguished faculty chair in entrepreneurship. It'll take an interdisciplinary approach, meaning that any faculty member who meets the criteria from any division of the university will be able to apply, and it'll happen on a rolling basis every 2 years so that people from across the divisions who take an entrepreneurial approach can have the opportunity to be a distinguished faculty chair. You may say this only lends itself to business. I would submit, as someone who works a career in the humanities, that even people who teach in the humanities or education or nursing or the sciences or any of our other areas can take an entrepreneurial approach and be a very viable candidate for this faculty chair. So we're very excited about that. We plan to revitalize the Riverhawk Farm when Washington comes to its census and Congress signs off on all of the things, budget agreements and things that have been tied up due to a lack of bipartisanship. We have a $500,000 set-aside grant for our Riverhawk Farm that we're expecting to receive out of those funding. We also plan to continue the success that we have built in downtown Parkersburg, and we're going to be looking, and I really want everybody to hear me say this, we're going to be looking at ways this semester to think about how we can revitalize what's happening at the Jackson County campus and what is happening in all of the counties that we serve. How can we really put our stamp not only in Parkersburg and Vienna, but how can we really plant our flag as firmly as it can be planted in the more outlying areas of our service area. So we're going to be making some investments in doing that, and I hope that it pleases the people who are serving in those more remote areas. It's been a long process to get the Copeland Clinic opened up on our campus, but we believe that it will be open for business in the fall semester, and we will be working starting this month or next month on getting all of the physical renovations that are necessary. We have verbal approval. Finally, we're waiting for written approval from all of the different entities within the state who have to approve us doing this. And we believe that we're about to begin the renovations and that we'll have a full service health clinic on our campus for students, faculty, staff, and the community in the fall. And I'm very excited about that. In 2024, the Higher Learning Commission, which is our national accrediting body, will make its regularly scheduled visit to WVUP. I plan for us to be ready and more than ready for that. So at the last Board of Governors meeting, or maybe one prior to that, I asked and the board approved us taking some money out of reserves for us to bring in a number of highly trained external consultants who are going to do peer observations of each of the divisions of the college and make recommendations. They're going to tell us all the things we're doing well, and that'll be a lot of stuff, but they're all going to make recommendations to us about the things that we need to shore up and improve before the HLC comes. That's going to be happening this semester. And then we'll have a year and a half after that to make whatever adjustments that we need to make and get ready so that we can have a resounding success with our Higher Learning Commission visit. We're going to be making even more of our decisions in a data-driven way, and we're going to be making more and better use of our Office of Institutional Research in doing that. It's our belief that this semester we will get a cosmetology program in partnership with the Wood County Public Schools up and running that may begin as soon as the fall of 2022. We're still working on that, but it's our belief that that will happen. And we're going to take some new approaches to enrollment management. Michelle Wilson in our Workforce Development Office and I and a lot of other people have been working for more than a year now on a major partnership with a major local industry, which is going to bring 300 non-traditionally aged students into WVU Parkersburg to work on associate degrees this fall. These kinds of innovative approaches are the only way that we're going to sustain and build enrollment over time, because census numbers don't lie. And census numbers, which you can read as well as I can, indicate that in my lifetime, the number of high school students that are traditionally college age is going to continue to decline. And particularly that's going to happen in more rural places like West Virginia. So we're going to try every way we can to recruit those students, but we're going to have to try to recruit more non-traditional students. We're going to have to translate more of the early college students into full-time students at WVUP by doing early college in a way that it's tied directly into the programs that we have at WVU Parkersburg. And we're going to have to use more technology. You never thought you'd hear this president say that, did you? In the way that we go about recruiting high school students. And then finally, we're going to have to do what West Virginia University and a number of other colleges and universities across the country are doing, is we're going to have to more deliberately tie marketing into recruitment of students. Our marketing team has won 18 national awards over the past 2 years and has done a tremendous job in building our brand and building our name recognition throughout our service area. And so now we're going to have to find some ways that marketing can more deliberately drive the enrollment numbers. Look for more information about these and a number of other programs happening, coming in emails from me over the next couple of weeks. I'm told that people don't like emails anymore. They like to text and, I don't know, Facebook and Twitter and all of these things, but I'm an old guy who will continue to send you lengthy emails, and I'll follow up on this conversation in that manner. I'll also do an open question and answer session on Thursday, and as usual, I won't fall away from any questions that you want to ask. Wanted there to be a day or two between this session and that session, so you could think about what you wanted to ask me. And I believe the Faculty Senate has invited me to appear before the faculty assembly at the beginning of the semester. So I'm very happy if you invite me to come and answer questions and receive counsel at Senate, at staff council, at student government, in divisional meetings, or other shared governance forums. And finally, the words for which you have been long waiting. In conclusion, More than half of my presidency to date has been spent in crisis management. It finally just occurred to me over the Christmas holidays that we had about a year and a half of fun and a season of love like I've never had before, and so many good things. And then we've had 2 years together of literally me trying to steer the ship in the middle of a crisis that changed every day, and all of you joining me and helping me in doing that. Last year was hard for me, and I don't make any secret of that. It was a year of uncertainty in many ways for me, and I think it was a hard year and an uncertain year for many of you as well. So, as part of this renaissance that you're going to be hearing more and more and more about, here's my invitation to you and to me, to all of us. Be kinder to each other. Be more patient with each other. That's probably the most important one of all. Expect more of me, your president, as I'll be expecting even more from all of you. And expect more from each other. WVUP has been good to us and for us. None of us, not one person, lost a single paycheck at WVU Parkersburg during the pandemic, something almost no college or university in the country can say. And we must be reborn to greater service, even as COVID-19 is still present. We must believe that shoulder to shoulder, there's no weight that we can't lift and no height to which we can ascend. And as the literature professor that started this, I will end it, and I'll quote Shakespeare one more time. This comes from The Merchant of Venice, and it's one of the most beautiful, I think, turns of phrase ever written. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and the him that takes. So here's my pledge to you. I will show mercy and kindness and understanding if you will show those things to me and to each other, and mostly to our students, because they are the only reason we have the honor of being here. Sometimes we get it right and sometimes we get it wrong. That applies to me and to each of you, but we try hard all day, every day, and that effort deserves grace. I heard my sister say to her husband once upon a time, he had said that one of the children was bad. And this is what she said to him. It's always stuck with me. Sometimes my children do bad things, but my children are never bad. Some students are not children, but the principle still applies. Sometimes they may not live into their full potential or into our expectations, but that is the definition of a student, one who is still learning. To paraphrase the book my grandmother read to me, and you all know what it is by now, let he or she or they who has achieved perfection cast the first stone. I don't know about you, but that leaves me out of stoning anybody. I wish you all a wonderful semester. I thank you for who you are, and I thank you for what you do, and I thank you for joining me this morning, and we will continue to be WVU Parkersburg proud. Have a great spring 2022 semester. Rebecca, I turn it back over to you.
All righty. Thank you so much, Dr. Gilmer, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As you all know, we have more professional development meetings coming up, so definitely check your emails for those Zoom links, and we hope you all have